Did you know vehicle racing is more dangerous than any other sport? Fans of NASCAR are aware of the risks involved in the sport. NASCAR has its share of entertaining moments, but things take a serious turn when the driver's safety is questioned. Fortunately, NASCAR's safety standards have saved countless lives from horrific accidents over the years. What a tense situation. Fans frequently cheer for wrecks, and some racegoers are unhappy if they attend a clean race. NASCAR culture is essentially a mashup of petty high school politics and the staged craziness of a traveling carnival. In today's video, we'll take a look at the several scariest NASCAR moments in history in which drivers may have made a rash and scary decision. Starting with number 1, Jeff Benin 2000 Daytona 250 Truck Series. One of the scariest wrecks in NASCAR history occurred in this race. We can all agree that racing is a very dangerous sport because every time a racer gets in a car, they are essentially risking their lives. Unfortunately, even the best drivers occasionally fall victim to the need for speed and the endless desire to win. This sport has experienced its fair share of tragedies. The first and scariest collision was a 2000 Daytona. The worst race-related accident ever happened at the 2000 Daytona 250. The Truck Series race at Daytona for the first time. Kurt Busch, Robert Morgan, and Lyndon Amick engaged in a 3-wide battle on lap 57. On the lap after that, Busch made contact with Morgan, who declined to speak with Emett. Both trucks returned to the track to meet Jeff Benin. Benin's truck slid off the road and into the fence. Its fuel cell disintegrated, creating a large ball of flames as it flipped. Dean survived the crash, but he wasn't unharmed, and he suffered from a broken jaw, a wrist injury, a shoulder injury, and a concussion that season. He survived the crash. Amazing, isn't it? It took the fans about 15 to 20 minutes to learn the exciting news. Dean was conscious and spoke with the medical staff. Number 2, Ryan Newman 2020 Daytona 500. With all the safety measures in place, there aren't many horrific incidents in this period. Nonetheless, the 2020 Daytona 500 crash involving Ryan Newman is an exception. On the final lap of the Daytona 500, Newman was in the lead and had stopped Ryan Blaney's charge to the finish line. Blaney, however, raced up to him and sent Newman head-on into the outside wall. Here, Denny Hamlin gave him a shove, but the worst of the crash had not yet occurred. Moments after that, Corey LaJoie smashed into the drive side of Newman's automobile at a speed of almost 180 miles an hour. On its roof, Newman's vehicle skidded along the front stretch before stopping close to the end of the pit road. Newman lost consciousness but survived without suffering any significant wounds. It took approximately 20 minutes to get him out of the vehicle. He missed 3 months of work as a result of a brain injury brought on by a fist bump from Daytona 500 winner Denny Hamlin. Given the seriousness of the event, it was remarkable that he was able to resume racing. Number 3, Rusty Wallace 1993 Talladega. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Rusty Wallace was a top racer. He won the championship in 1989 and had a promising 1993. At Talladega, Wallace led 43 laps but was unable to complete the race. Wallace was propelled into the air after Dale Earnhardt collided with his rear bumper. Nevertheless, the accident was minor in comparison to what happened afterwards. Wallace was almost in turn 1 when his car flipped down the front stretch and landed on its wheels, but it was in a disorganized state because the visibility was so poor that you could make out the roll cage. The most strange part of the whole thing is that Wallace went on to have a fantastic season. He did not win the championship, but he had one of the best seasons that did not result in a tournament win. Fortunately, Wallace appeared on the radio and stated that he was fine. This wasn't the first time Wallace had a terrifying crash. In the 1993 Daytona 500, he did a wild flip. Number 4, 1970 Darlington Richard. Darlington since 1970. Less than 10 years after his father's tragic accident at Darlington, Richard Petty's car slid to the left as he exited turn 4, crashing against the interior wall so forcefully that it cracked. The broadcast showed a terrifying video of Petty's body hanging out the window. Petty was taken to the infield care center by safety officials who advised him to go to the nearest hospital. As a result of the impact, Petty's car flipped multiple times before coming to rest on its roof. People were glad when Petty's brother Morris told reporters that he was okay after the crash, since they had worried that he would not survive. In actuality, he had merely dislocated his shoulder. The fact that NASCAR required all cars to have window screens so that drivers wouldn't have to worry about ejecting from the vehicle in the case of an accident will certainly prevent a few future tragedies. Number 5, Lee Petty 1961 Daytona. The father of Richard Petty is a NASCAR legend. Richard Petty is one of the greatest drivers of all time, but Lee Petty was no stranger. Petty was competing in a qualifying race at Daytona when he and Johnny Bockham Beauchamp clashed in turn 3, sending both cars into the outside wall because there wasn't much of a fence back then. Both vehicles went over the wall and outside the track. With this accident, Petty's career came to an end. He sustained minor injuries in addition to a broken leg, shattered collarbone, crushed chest, and a punctured lung. He was hospitalized for the following 4 months after falling into a coma for a few days. Richard Petty summarized his father's accident like this: "Neither car had anything left of it. There was blood all over the place, but they had gotten Daddy out of the car and loaded him into the back of an ambulance. He had no life." So that's all for today's video. Tell us what makes NASCAR such a great sport in the comments below, and leave your thoughts there, like and subscribe to this channel.